Now we're talking LarryBoy and the Bad Apple. After the disappointments made in the LarryBoy cartoon adventure series, our hero goes back to the CG world. And boy, was that the first good decision that they made when making this video. Now mind you, on my channel, I would go on and on about this LarryBoy video in particular, because believe me when I say that this is the best one of all the LarryBoy videos. But with that said, I can understand why some people believe that the Rumorweed video is better. But at the end of the day, I beg to differ. In hindsight, it starts well and it ends well. But now, let's look at the story. LarryBoy again proves to be Bumblebir's superhero by stopping a robbery in the opening scene. But after chowing down on a box of chocolates, his butler Alfred reminds him that he needs to cut back on the stuff. We then learn that reporter Petunia and Mayor Blueberry have similar problems with temptation, with the reporter being addicted to video games and the mayor caring so much about her beauty. And those are considered problems because, I don't know, they're distracting to their jobs. But little do the people of Bumblebird know that the Bad Apple is planning to take over the town by trapping the mayor, Petunia, and LarryBoy in their temptations by using elusive technology to make them come to life. And that introduces us to the main plus that this movie has, the creative ideas. Well, most of it centering around the villain. First of all, they got a pretty good voice actress for the Bad Apple. Second, she's a master manipulator, whether it's with her gadgets or with how she talks to people. Every good villain is a master manipulator, so that's a definite plus. And third, the character design for this villain is amazing. When she puts on the belt that lets her sport spider legs later on, she becomes more and more threatening. Though, the animators had to make sure that her spider legs weren't too pointy so that kids wouldn't get scared. Fun fact. And speaking of animation, it's obviously way better than the Fifth from Outer Space and Rumorweed. Since there was more action and more story to work with, this made way for high-speed energy in action scenes and ominous visuals and suspenseful scenes. One example of having a good energized scene is when LarryBoy races to rescue Petunia from crashing in her video game. That they did great, and you'll get the same feel later when he takes on the Bad Apple in the climax. And believe me when I say that the suspense is well earned in this video. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, they're ripping off the tunnel scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. See the purple hat she's wearing? Yeah, I get it, but here, that bit of parody works, because that shows how good the visuals are when setting the mood. If it wants to be ominous, it'll be ominous. If it wants to be celebratory, it'll be that way. I remember arguing in my Vlogs Month video on the Rumorweed episode that it wanted to be risky, but couldn't push the boundaries. Here, it took risk, and they were earned. Instead of making up for the lack of risks by having uncomfortable close-ups of characters, like in Rumorweed, they give it to us straight up. They show the Bad Apple getting in LarryBoy's face with a chocolate bar. They show her threatening her worm sidekick with a spider leg. They show her fighting with a web shooter. And they even show our hero risking his life in that epic scene where he prevents the Apple Funhouse from crushing a woman and her baby. Now I know that that's a reference to Spider-Man 2, but I still think that this scene was well done. The point is, if this video were to have played it safe most of the way, then it wouldn't have gotten a good story or a good villain. Both would fall flat, so the suspense was warranted and the action helped out. So where does this video go downhill? Well, there's one scene where Larry hits the Stairmaster. I thought that scene was a bit awkward with Alfred counting. You know, all I can do in that scene is cover my ears and go la 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 la. Another thing was how the Bad Apple's lineage became a problem to Bumblebird. There's a video that Alfred watches in the town's library where it shows how the Apple's great-uncle Ephraim tried but failed to enslave the townspeople with temptation. But they show it like a documentary of the first Thanksgiving in the first part of the video. So is this part supposed to confuse kids on how we got our first Thanksgiving? You know, you could have introduced the Bad Apple's lineage in a different way. That way it would be more original. Just saying. But aside from the bit of awkwardness that this video has to offer, it doesn't screw things up for the story as a whole. So of all the LarryBoy videos, this one, in my opinion, is the best. It took chances and it came through to VeggieTales fans. Check it out and decide for yourself.